You mentioned doing it for the kids, being
Yeah.
the LPs.
Yeah.
Samuel said on the show the other day from Haystack, we're about to see the greatest LP churn ever, with all LP books overweight on venture, and the churn in this next wave will be phenomenal. Well, huge.
Yeah.
Not phenomenal, but huge. Do you agree with him? And how do you expect LP markets to move in the next 12 months?
No, I don't think. Well, first of all, look, Semmel is not only wildly successful, but he's a student of this stuff, right? I mean, he's literally, it's great. I consider myself a student of SaaS. I consider Semmel a student of how LPs are put together and funds are constructed. So he's right. I can just tell you from my vantage point, I don't think so. I think the LPs I have are pretty well established institutions that have been investing in venture for decades and decades. I have one that experienced some stress during this period, right? But it's someone that's relatively newer of my LP stack. I have the exact same LPs across multiple funds, no change. Some losses, right? But basically the others just took up the slack, so no new LPs. And I just think that folks that have been in this category for decades, they may drop managers if that's the point. Like managers are going to get dropped. Don't get me wrong. Like it's going to be brutal, right? But they're not going to not remain committed to the asset class. I remember talking like to Horsley Bridge when things went pretty far south, and they're like, well, we've done an exhaustive analysis again of everything since we've been doing venture, right? And they're like, there's just this type of manager is still going to outperform every other asset class. Now, there are fund of funds. You can argue they're biased, but I think this capital house, look, the fact that top LPs made 80 to 90% IRR last year was insane. Like that should have been a flag to every LP on the planet instead of doing victory laps and committing more to the asset class. But it's really the only way they're going to beat NASDAQ on this side, some combination of PE and VC. And otherwise you got to do it. You got to deploy the capital. So, but boy, this is what I learned before the boom. We talk about the boom in venture. We're missing the boom in all the managers, right? That's such a boom in managers, and so many are going to get dropped. And really good funds in the old days, people would drop Excel and they would drop everything but Sequoia. And then you would think, oh my God, I dropped out of Excel after the Facebook fund. That was like a career limiting move, but people are going to drop out of everything. They're going to drop out of Andreessen. And it's not because these aren't great funds. There's just stress in the market, right? But it doesn't mean that the best LPs are going anywhere.
I mean, with a $4.5 billion crypto fund, I'm not surprised they drop out of Andreessen.
Yeah, but they'll come back. Like if you look at the overall numbers for Andreessen, I'm shocked at how wildly successful Andreessen has been across these funds as they've grown. Wildly successful. That their blended returns are like 3.5x net after all these years. Pretty darn good at that scale. And 3.5x net beats everything, Harry. That's the thing. Like the other thing is the last couple of years, everyone was so brilliant. We would throw out 3x, 4x, 5x, 6x. I'm going to have a 10. Every new VC that never had a fund was their deck was, I'm going to raise an 8x fund. I'm like, do you even know what that means? Right? There's a reason 3x net used to be rare until the boom. It's because that beats everything. 3x net beats every other asset class except timber in good years or diamonds in odd years. 3x net beats everything, and 3x net used to be rare and will be rare again. It will be rare in today's multiples again. 3x net will be rare.
It's like, it's so pissed me off the way people said, oh, I can see, X can easily be a $5 to $10 billion company, but can it be a $50 billion company? And you're like, 5 to 10 billion, that's a big company. That is a huge success. That was a throwaway comment for something.
And what if you own 2% of it and you have a $200 million, $100 million fund? It won't not going to build you a 10x. Then you ask them, okay, how are you going to get a 10x fund out of that? Great, hooray. Like how are you going to get a 10x fund? I don't think most of these folks could even do the math.